Last month, we aired the first of a three-part episode regarding obesity and intimacy on Mind Body Wellness with Brent Harding, and she's here with me to look back at that episode and to catch up with Virginia and Justin.
Thank you, Adrena.
When we were initially introduced to Virginia and Justin, the issue of obesity was adversely affecting their intimacy. Let's take a look back at part one.
287 was very uncomfortable for me. It was the largest I had ever been coming off pregnancy. I mean, dealing emotionally, it was just, I just felt, a mess.
We were together before that for a while, so the 280, you kind of prepare yourself mentally, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mentally, it was not much of a challenge because we've already been together for so long. It starts to take a toll after a while.
How was the body, and in terms of how you dealt with that?
The body itself was just all over the place. I mean, I was coming off of a pregnancy, so the weight, it just felt like everything dropped.
Okay.
It just like gravity took over and everything just dropped. And, at the time, being only 27 years old, that weighed very heavy on me.
Now for part two of the three-part series, Intimacy and Obesity. In this segment, Virginia will talk more in depth about the intimacy and how it was affected by her weight at 287 pounds.
287 pounds, it was lights off, barely any candles, no mirrors. It was just, just general. I mean, not to say that I wasn't into it, because I love my husband. I made the best out of it, even if it wasn't enjoyable for me, just knowing how big I was.
I'm a very sexual individual. At 280, she was less of a sexual individual. So it was I'm doing most of the work. She's kind of going along with it because we're married or because that's her job. Well, I won't say that's her job, but because that's, her position.
As far as my body and the way I felt,
okay.
It was just.
What about clothing? Were into little slinky clothing?
No, slinky clothing was not a factor. As a matter of fact, he'd get on me a few times because I have received a lot of lingerie for our wedding, and he barely saw it. Okay. I think I a few times, after that, but around that time, I barely wore anything. I think I downgraded to some granny panties.
Obviously, that's my wife, so I don't downplay her or anything like that at the time. But it does make you go back mentally. It does make you go back and want to say, okay, I need to go to her, talk to her about this. This needs to change. We need to change this.
What we're dealing with is the reality. If we look at, as women, and you're talking to other women, because this is being shared with them, how do you really feel? And that's where it is how do you feel? You said the lights out.
Yeah.
I remember one woman telling me, she said, it had to be pitch black. I mean, he was searching around trying to find me in the room. Is that kind of the way it was?
Definitely, the kinkiness was just gone. It's just the ability to, make it fun was just not in me. Okay. I didn't feel great. Most of the time I didn't want to be on top. You couldn't get me to get on top for, anything,
What was that conversation when we need to change? What was the electricity or the dialogue like when we need to change?
Sometimes in the bedroom, sometimes in general when you're driving, sometimes it would be in the middle of watching movies. I try to catch her off guard because it was something that kind of bothered me a lot. So I wanted to come to her anytime I had a chance to. Most of the time it started, hey honey, can we talk? Obviously. And she knew where we were going with it. It was a very, very difficult process to talk about. It was, most of the time it started off in calm voice, and it ended up in an argument.
Why?
It was because she understood where I was going from as far as the weight loss. There were times when I would get angry because obviously when a man's not pleased sexually in whatever case, you kind of lash out.
And it's not that I didn't want to please my husband, I just wasn't satisfied with myself, Okay. So my enthusiasm to have sex, it just wasn't there, or, I did it for him.
So, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to come to her soft. But the way it comes out is like, honey, we need to get something done about it. We need to resolve this weight issue.
Next week, we'll look at part 3, the final episode of Virginia and Justin, how they worked it out. Let's take a look at the preview.
Okay, you know that everybody is if they're sitting in the audience going, okay, she weighed 280 something, she's now down, how many pounds again?
As she gets smaller, she's feeling more confident.
You know, he tells me I look great, I feel great, I feel a lot more confident than I did before.